So today I want to talk about ups and downs. I had an experience this weekend at a amazing event that Kyle Cease ran called Evolving Out Loud. And I met a woman who I knew through Facebook, and we met for the first time, and it was beautiful to connect in person. But one of the things that she said as we started to talk was that based on the postings of myself and my friends on Facebook, she was wishing that she could be as happy as we were. She wished that she could be happy all the time, like us. And as she said that, I was like, happy all the time? Is that what I am presenting to the world? Well, that's totally false. That's totally unfair. And that's a very kind of anxiety producing belief to think that there are people out there who experience only happiness. Because if that's the case, if there are people out there experiencing only happiness, well, then clearly you're doing it wrong. The reality is that everybody has cycles. Everybody stumbles. Everybody has frustration. Everybody has highs and lows. I mean, everybody. I mean, Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, Gandhi. I mean, Jesus knocked over the table. Everybody loses their cool. Everybody is in that cycle of being alive and being human. It is what being a human is. It is, the human experience is one of excitement, drama. If you are no longer having cycles, if you are no longer having ups and downs, if you're no longer on a roller coaster, you're either dead or you have evolved into pure divine light and you vaporize and fail to exist anymore on this plane of existence. So if you are enjoying in any way the human experience, embrace what it means to be human and know that everyone is having those ups and downs. Now, that isn't to say that everyone has experienced the same magnitude of ups and downs and everyone has experienced the same time in ups and downs or the frequency of downs. Many people, through practice of all different sorts, can affect the way that they have cycles. But remember, as you are seeing people post on social media, you are seeing people's highlight reel. You are seeing the best. You are seeing their brightest. You are seeing an edited version of themselves. And you compare it to your reality. You compare it to your backstage, your dark everything. You compare your everything to their best of. And of course it can feel like, man, I'm doing this wrong. I try to share the stumbles that I have. I try to share them after I've reframed them. I try to avoid the instinct of when I'm lonely or depressed, or if I can just be like, I suck at this, or I got another parking ticket. I always do this. Everybody's out to get me. First of all, if I find myself typing always, never, I usually know that I'm in a story, I'm in depression, I'm in a funk of some sort. So if I give myself a second and allow myself to reframe it, sometimes use the process of wanting to tell this story as an opportunity to reframe it, as an opportunity to say, where's the lesson here? And then share the frustration with a little bit of distance to say, oh man, I had a rough morning. I got all up in my story. I was so panicked about being late. I almost got in an accident because I wasn't present. Finally, everything worked out. And that kind of sharing, I feel, is more authentic. I think it's a real disservice when people present their lives as one of light all the time, as happiness all the time. Because one, that's not how life is. Life is a balance of light and dark, good and bad. And two, it makes it feel like there is a separation between those who have figured it out and those of us who are still working on it. Everyone is still working on it. Even the people who are teaching, even the people who are writing books and giving seminars, they are in the middle of their practice, just like you are in the middle of their practice. At some times, they are in a position where they have things to teach. At other times, they're in a place where they need to learn. You sometimes are in a place where you need to teach, and sometimes are in a place where you need to learn. It takes work to affect how happy you are. But it is work that everyone can do. Things like keeping a gratitude journal, writing down the things that make you happy every day will shift the way that you think. Science knows this. Things like exercising, things like hanging out with people that make you happy, hanging out with family and friends, and reading, watching, and doing exercises from other teachers. When I am at my most balanced and my highs are highest is when I am in the student mode the most, when I am watching lectures, when I am reading things, when I am doing the work. As a student is when I'm in the best place to be a teacher. And then what I try to do is when I am in my best, when I'm at my highest, I try to shine the light as bright as possible and share as loudly as possible. And then when I'm in a down point, I try to move through it as quick as possible. I know myself well enough to know the things that sometimes anchor me to those down points. I know that sometimes talking about it too much for me anchors me to the low point. I find myself committed to being down if I get into a conversation about it. I find myself defending the thoughts that have me down. So sometimes for me, one of the reasons why I don't talk about it as much is because of the way that it keeps snapping me back to that place. Long ago, I used to write about being lonely and down all the time, and I connected with many people in my live journal days. But what I finally realized was that I would write these moments of despair and I would purge them out and I would get it out all onto the page. And then someone would comment on it 2 days later and go, "Oh my gosh, I feel that way too." But 2 days later, I was feeling a lot better. And then for me to honor this person's expression, I have to return to that lower moment to meet them at that vibration. And in doing so, I kept pulling my story back to this down place. And so I try not to do that in the same way. I try to acknowledge that I have the down moments, but try not to make my story about being down moments. Hopefully that is a way to be authentic and not being deceptive about always being happy. All humans, while having a human experience, have the process of highs and lows, because that is what a human experience is. It is adventure, it is love, it is excitement, it is despair, it is frustration. You signed up for an adventure. You got it. If you were going to make a movie to entertain yourself, would you make a movie of a guy sitting on a beach drinking pina coladas for 2 hours? Or would you make something with, excitement and a romance and a story and yay! So that's the kind of life that we sign up for. That's the kind of life we give ourselves as we step into a human consciousness for a lifetime. And we should be grateful for that. But part of being a human is that we also give ourselves an amnesia so that we forget that we are also divine, giving ourselves this experience. And so the process of enjoying the adventure is one of forgetting and remembering, forgetting and remembering. If you were holding on to a log as it was approaching and then going over a waterfall, it would be terrifying. But if you're on the log ride at Disneyland, it's whee! And that's what a practice can do. That is what doing the work and reminding yourself can allow you to have the adventures, can have all the excitement, can have the ups and downs and distractions and the conflict and the obstacles, and go through it as a game, as something that's fun, quite frankly. But if you find yourself holding onto that log, panicking, and wondering, why is someone else scared? That's okay too. Being scared is also part of the adventure. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. And you have the tools inside you and around you to shift the balance of your ups and downs. You are a student. You are a teacher. You are a perfect divine being, enjoying the miracle and absolutely incomprehensible experience of being alive. Allow yourself to be totally clueless. Allow yourself to be filled with awe. Allow yourself to be totally down and know that there's nothing wrong with that, because everybody has ups and downs. There is no perfect guru. There is no person out there that has figured it all out and never stumbles. We are all peers. We are all helping one another. We are all beams of perfect light, always learning, always growing, always stumbling and getting back up. Thank you for shining your light and sharing your gifts and sharing your lessons and being vulnerable and willing to learn and share your journey. When we can celebrate others' victories and allow other people to have their stumbles, then we can all have our lessons, have our experiences that lead to our personal growth, which lifts up the all. Thank you for being a part of this beautiful adventure. Thank you for having the courage to be down, having the strength to look at that darkness and know that all of us have that darkness too. I love you.